sure.
So you'll be signing on momentarily.
Okay. I think we can go ahead and get started. I shared my screen here. Can you guys see the agenda hold up?
Yep. Yep.
Okay. All right. So I think this is probably going to go pretty quickly here. We don't have too much on the agenda at this point, but just wanted to touch base like we talked about, meet every month or so to give everyone the opportunity to see how the project and the construction is progressing. Essentially, we're basically in between the design phase, the bidding phase, and the start of construction. So today, just want to talk about where we're at in the process, talk about the schedule, and then get the next committee meeting on the books here. So update on the project. The GMP, the guaranteed maximum price, has been approved by the board, which has authorized Market & Johnson to start the subcontracts with their subs, get the submittals started. I know we've got some RFIs that are coming in through the submittal program. So the design team is looking at responding to some of those initial questions from the subcontractors. We have submitted all the plans to the state of Minnesota. We did get notification about 2 weeks ago, a week and a half ago, that the state has picked up the plans. So they're in the process of reviewing them. So I do anticipate in the next couple of weeks getting their review back. And then the design team will be able to review their comments and respond accordingly. So good news is that they are reviewing that. We had some other jobs where it took a little bit longer, so I was really happy to hear that it only took 3 weeks for them in the queue there. Hi, Tyler. All right, so then I think that really sums up our update from the architect's office. Next up is really just talking about schedule, and I'm going to hand this off to Tyler to talk about the work that they've done coordinating with the city and getting started in terms of mobilizing. And I know Steve will give some updates on some parking lot moves and fencing. So Tyler, is there anything you want to share on your screen, or is this I can?
No, I think
no,
I think we should be good with just running through kind of what our plan is with everything.
Okay.
Sorry if it gets loud. I'm actually down at UWL at a job site, and the market band is practicing for Oktoberfest right on the track right next to our trailers. It's a little loud.
Okay.
So, anyways, city coordination we've sent the site plan they needed just to get everything for building permit, which we won't actually have an official building permit for this, but the site access and all that stuff, they're reviewing their board. I don't know if it's Public Works. I can't remember who was actually reviewing it. But that's in the process. Everything it looks like they were good with it. They just got a few members that have to go through that. We've also sent in the street application to relocate that parking to the north, or not the parking, I guess, to take over that's parking lanes. They did approve our plan. I know Steve will maybe talk a little bit more about this, with the parking, but they approved us relocating the drive lanes. So we're basically removing the parking lanes on the north and south and shifting traffic to the north. So it'll be just drive lanes through there, east and west. So there won't be any parking available right next to the construction site. We did, like I said, we'll have a company come in with the cones, the Jersey barriers, all that kind of stuff. Well, fencing, signage, everything that's needed for that. There was an actual official plan that we had to write for that.
Daniel, if you let me share it, I've got the plan up where it can be shared for everybody.
Yeah, if you got that, that'd be great. Sorry, mine computer was having some issues here.
Oh. Sure. Did it go up? Is it up now?
Yep.
So what Tyler's talking about here is that I don't know if you can see my mouse, you can see my hand. On the
Yep.
3rd Street side or the north side of the building, the vacation is going to be the parking spaces, and then the eastbound lane. So it's going to be where the red line is, that's the parking, and then the eastbound lane is going to be vacated. So there's going to be barriers up and signage indicating that that's closed all the way from the bridge to Washington Street. And then what now is going to be the eastbound lane was the westbound lane, and then the parking in front of the COB building or the 202 West 3rd Street is going to be now a lane that's going to allow traffic to flow without interruption to the west.
Yes.
So we'll have an impact on parking because if you count, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, including 1 handicap parking. So 4 regular parkings and 1 handicap. We worked with administration and stuff as far as meeting the needs of employees and making sure the public, and then adding some other handicap parkings in some other locations. That's indicated, especially in front of and behind the courthouse in the blue. So on 3rd Street and 4th Street, those are going to be added handicap spots, which was highly by the city thing that makes quite a difference because we're not only losing 1 on the street rush, we're going to lose 2 spots inside of the law enforcement center when that north parking lot's closed. And then this red indication on the sidewalks is indicating that that's sidewalk and that's going to be closed. So right now we've picked I said April 19th in an email, and I don't know why I keep picking that date, but October 19th is right now the date that we're actually going to start to affect the lane closures or the partial lane closures. And then talking with Josh from Market and Johnson yesterday is we'll be looking at and then working with Danielle and stuff and seeing really how close we are with those permits. And if the permits are there or it looks like we're knocking on it, we might actually then be closing off the parking lot at the law enforcement center because then the equipment will come in. But we definitely didn't want to affect parking until we really needed to affect the parking, if that makes sense. So
Yeah. Steve, if you want to, this plan actually is showing the sidewalk closure. If you want to go down 1 more page up, yeah, there you go. That one right there is actually showing the actual lane closure and shift and everything that will be occurring, and then on 4th Street there. So on 3rd, I guess I should say.
But anybody that's now parking in between this area right now, that obviously that'll be closed. In front of the law enforcement center will be closed. Plus these parking spots in front of the Cobb building or the 202 building is going to be shut down when this happens. So right now that projected date was moved back to October 19th. So you'll see the equipment coming in for it to actually get put into place probably before it, but the 19th there'll be or the 18th and so on, there'll be signs along the street that says no parking. So that way it's all vacated. So when they start to actually change it and have the lane closure actually happen, plus the signage go up. So, and this is like Tyler said, was reviewed by the city and approved by the city too. And then from time to time, there will be a street full closure when public safety is at a risk, at a higher risk, when there's bigger products or semis and equipment coming in and so on, that it's a valid reason to close the street for public safety. But that'll happen temporarily rather than long term, or this will be during quite a bit of the bigger part of the construction.
Steve, this is Marcia.
Yes.
When we do I'm just relating to when we do big highway projects and we close roads. Dave Kramer has always put up a website or you can do an email or a Facebook or something to let people know on a very quick basis where they can and can't park and stuff. I don't know if we want to do something like that because you're telling me all the places I can't park. I don't know where I can park. And each day it sounds like it might change, or each week. So you might just ask Dave Kramer how they set up for people that lived along major highway projects to let them know on a quicker basis what's happening and how they can accommodate their parking needs and their travel needs in that area.
Thank you. I like that idea. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, thanks for that update. And then the last point of business is just talking about the start of construction. It's a little bit in flux just based on getting that permit and having the state approval. So we've, I guess, Tyler temporarily, or maybe talked about, the hope is mid-October or end of October. So like you mentioned, getting the street closed, getting the trailers in and mobilizing mid-October, so you can do some of that work before the permit comes in, but not being too early. So I think that's yet to be determined. And the hope is that by the time we have our next construction or committee meeting, that we'll have a more firm date on that. Okay,
Yeah,
so any questions?
for construction wise, yeah, we're kind of just in limbo, and as soon as we get a state reviewed plan back, we're ready to go. We have Excel coming on site the October 11th that week to relocate those power lines. And then there's a few things with the chillers and stuff like that. We can kind of get prepped on site with locates and a few things like that, but that's kind of, everything's just on hold until we get that state review, and we'll get started. And probably that next, as soon as we get it, we'll start rolling that next week.
Yeah, Tyler, this is Ken. On that utility relocation, do we know how much disruption is going to happen to the courthouse parking lot?
When the power utility, I think that,
Well, yeah, because weren't they going to put an underground from 4th Street to 3rd Street?
yeah, let me get with Christopher on Excel. I guess he hasn't said, he didn't give me any information that we needed to vacate any stalls or anything like that. So let me connect with him after this meeting and do a follow-up for you guys on that one.
Yeah, because I didn't know if they were going to bore or if they're going to trench or what they were going to do through that parking lot. So.
Yep. I'll get some research on that one.
Okay, and then obviously talk to Steve so it can be communicated to people that use it.
Yep, and I know they have been in touch, I believe, Steve, with you a little bit, just because you asked about power shutdown and stuff like that with disconnect and everything with that. So,
And I know that their initial plans or their thoughts, and obviously as they start to dig or set up like a trench to do the bore, was to try to be as minimal as possible. They really didn't think there'd be a lot of disruption, but I think it could be one of those fluid things where all of a sudden there's a surprise that pops up and they realize they have to dig a hole in a different spot that might actually affect the parking. Where right now we're hoping it really doesn't affect the parking.
Yeah, if they can bore, it's probably going to be obviously less disruptive, but you never know really.
Yep. So is it possible that I could try to be on that with you, Tyler? Or
yeah, yep. Yeah, I might actually, it'd be best, honestly, I might have, I was going to have Josh try to reach out to him too and actually maybe meet on site so we can walk through this with them and see what's going on. So I think that's going to be our best option.
One other thing that I was wondering about is, I don't know if Aaron's on the call or not, I can't tell on my screen here, but about the monument building and what kind of timeline or how does that fit into things?
Yep, I was in touch with a contractor the other day and they're thinking Monday or Tuesday of next week to start the process for demolition.
Okay, do they give you an idea like how long it's going to take to clean up the site?
They were thinking a week and a half.
Okay, well that's not bad.
Start to a gravel parking lot.
Good. And have we taken care of making sure the Redmond building doesn't cave in when we do that?
Yep. We've talked about that, and I've talked with the Redmonds and talked with Don Waltz about just parking and everything else that's going to go on. A little disruption for them, but been in communication with the neighbors of the building also.
Good. Sounds good.
Okay. Any other questions about the project or the schedule? Okay, so next meeting, if we're tracking in about a month, we're looking at the end of October. So I think Thursday, October 28th is the proposed meeting. Does that work for everybody? We can have Heidi send out a new invite for that.
Works for me, Steve.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a schedule we've been using, so.
Okay. Awesome. Okay. Well, any other business? Looks like no. Okay. All right. Well, thanks everybody. Appreciate your time today. Have a good one. See you next time.
Thanks, everybody.
Okay. Yep.
Bye.
Bye now.
Thank you.